The other thing that I wanted to get into before we go to break, or go to Lewis Riddick, to be quite honest with you, was Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant. Last guy drafted. Comes out this year. Plays his ass off, for the most part. Got to give credit where credit is due. Didn't look flummoxed or unpoised or anything like that in the first half. Held his own. Didn't think he played a bad game at all. I'm looking at numbers here. Completed 12 of his 19 attempts against the blitz. That's 63% for 131 yards and a touchdown while getting sacked just once. The Chiefs' defense blitzed on 51% of his dropbacks, their fourth highest rate in the game under defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. I thought if the 49ers had won Christian McCaffrey, C-Mac would have been the league, would have been the game's Super Bowl MVP. Led the Niners in catches with 8 and receiving yards in 80 and becoming the first player in Super Bowl history with 80 yards receiving and 80 yards rushing in a game. Christian McCaffrey was balling. He fumbled early in the game. I get that part. That was a mistake. That was a faux pas. But nevertheless, he showed up. When I think about Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, I say, where were they? I don't blame them because I saw times and gaps where they could have been open, but Purdy went 6 for 17, 35% for 82 yards and no touchdowns when targeting Samuel or Ayuk. I wonder how much of that was about them, how much of that was about him. Purdy, he only connected with George Kittle for just 2 catches for 4 yards. How the hell did this happen? I'm not looking at Purdy. I'm looking at Kyle Shanahan. Because you doubled up. You threw the football twice as many times as you ran the football. Well, who the hell were you throwing it to? And if you got Christian McCaffrey, I know he had about 30 touches, but damn, you got to run that football. And you got to feed that beast. You got to get the ball to him. Kyle Shanahan didn't do it. And as a result, now we're sitting here talking about Kyle Shanahan. 3 consecutive NFC title games. All right? 2 Super Bowl appearances. 4 conference title appearances in the last 5 years and not a single Super Bowl championship to show for it. This is the same Kyle Shanahan that was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta when they lost a 28-3 lead. This is the same Kyle Shanahan that had a 10-point lead against the Kansas City Chiefs a few years back. And it's the same Kyle Shanahan that had a 10-point lead last night. At some point in time, what are you, the Bud Grant and the Minnesota Vikings? Losing 4 Super Bowls? What are you, Marv Levy? Losing 4 Super Bowls in Buffalo? Yeah, getting there matters, and it is tough, and it's not easy. But if you get your ass kicked when you get there, or even if you don't get your ass kicked and you just lose a hard-fought, tough game, people are not going to remember you historically for working hard. You worked hard. You really, really tried. Congratulations. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, what the hell was up? You couldn't close. You couldn't get it done. And that's what we have to say about Kyle Shanahan at this particular moment in time, despite his obvious greatness as a coach. And then after the game, for the team to be sitting there talking about they didn't know about the overtime rule. They forgot that the rule had been changed where both teams get to touch the football in overtime now. Not just the first team to score a touchdown. If you get the ball first and you score a touchdown, the other team doesn't get it back. That rule was eradicated last year. And for the players to be saying we didn't know anything about it and we didn't prepare for it. For Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs to highlight how we did prepare for it. We were made aware of it. Our coaching staff had ready for us. We practiced it all year long. That matters. For the San Francisco 49ers to say they didn't know the rule was embarrassing. It was a blemish on the part of Kyle Shanahan because you ain't teaching. And it was a blemish on the part of the players because clearly you ain't interested in reading about your own industry, your football players. You're supposed to know. If it goes to overtime, we both get the ball. They didn't know. For shame. For shame.